Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Fourth and goal to go with the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the cornerback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
Now, this one here, Mr. Cor'Dale Flott. Mr. Cor'Dale, I weigh 112 pounds, soaking wet Flott. Now, he didn't do too bad last season. Will he get a second contract? We'll have to wait and see. I mean, certainly, worst comes worse. Very, very good with depth, right? He didn't do too bad last season. Where are we at here? Make or break for Cor'Dale Flott. Can he become a long-term piece for the secondary? Will Flott earn a second contract? Because, you figure, if somebody gets injured, I don't want to say I hope not. Of course, we're talking the Giants. Somebody's going to get injured, of course. But if somebody obviously one of the cornerbacks, whatever gets in, he might be the first one off the bench, right? But he's been here for a while. Right. The Giants have invested heavily in their defense over the last couple of years. And the other thing with Flott is that he's not a cornerback that's going to want $18 million a year either. Right. Have some good quality depth at a reasonable price. Right. They've added high draft picks and talented free agents to try to turn their unit into one of the best in the NFL. Giants defense has had good players for years now. However, it's also been top heavy with little depth behind their starters, which is true too. Sometimes you're only as good as your guys on the bench. The secondary was always one of the biggest concerns, and depth can be key. Not only have the Giants been thin on the back end, but the secondary always has to deal with attrition over the course of the year, which is true. That makes 2022 third-round pick Cor'Dale Flott of keen interest as he enters his fourth year. Flott was never a consistent starter through his first 2 years of his career, but did start 10 out of 14 games last season. He's unlikely to push for a starting job in 2025 after the addition of Paulson Adebo and the emergence of Drew Phillips. However, he could still be an important depth piece who sees plenty of playing time in sub packages or in the event of an injury. So, absolutely. Because of that, Flott taking the next step in his development would be an absolute boon to the Giants. And if he doesn't, he could find himself looking for a new home in 2026. Now, these are some of the reasons why he'll make it. The biggest factor in Flott's potential success is the improvement he showed over the course of 2024, which he did. Now, I don't know if it's with Bowen's defense that really helped him. This year, Flott's busiest to date with him playing 637 snaps, which is 73.8% of the total defense. So he played almost 3/4 of the snaps last year. Thanks to the Giants' depth issues in the secondary, the overwhelming majority of those snaps came on the outside as opposed to the slot. Flott played just 50 snaps in the slot, as opposed to 578 on the outside, a full game more than 505 total snaps in 2023. He certainly had his struggles, of course, over those snaps, but the extra work may have been good for him. For instance, Flott showed growth in the mental and technique aspects of his game over the course of 2024. He struggled some with missed tackles to start the season with 5 missed tackles in his first 8 games. However, those 5 were the only missed tackles all year, and he didn't have a single missed tackle after week 8. Very impressive, which is one of the problems the Giants have had for a while, missed tackles. By the end of the year, his 8.6% missed tackle rate was significantly lower than the Giants' 13.3%. Flott has always had a good closing burst, but his choice of angles is improving as well. His coverage and passer rating against also improved over the course of the year. Using week 8 as the dividing line, we see a stark shift in Flott's completion percentage allowed. Prior to week 8, he allowed 73% of his passes thrown his way to be completed, which dropped to 57.9% after week 8, which is very impressive. Part of the difference comes down to how Flott was used and the Giants switched to more aggressive scheming after the injury of Dexter Lawrence. The other part of Flott is improving, and it's how he reads quarterback's eyes and tracks the ball off from coverage. He is still better in man than in zone, and off man seems to be his greatest strength. You'll have to see how the Giants, the defense changes, that helps them or not. But then they have the thing of why he won't make it. The first and most notable issue is Flott's game is one he can't do much about. Flott is whip thin and is still listed at 175 pounds despite being 6'2". That's thin. Whew. That can make it difficult for him to get bigger defenders on the ground even if he does tackle with excellent form. While he was a relatively secure tackle who didn't outright miss often, limiting yards after contact is an issue. Flott simply doesn't have much stopping power and needs to take very good angles and make sure he wraps up every time. If he arrives high or doesn't wrap up, even average-sized receivers can survive his tackling attempts. Yep. He was a thorn in Brandon Cook's side both times the Giants played the Cowboys last year, and Flott largely had Cooks locked down. Flott's aggression and toughness can also work against him when he's matched up against smart, savvy route runners. Flott is at the bottom. Let's see here. Oh, the question as to whether can Flott make it and be a useful piece for the Giants really depends on the expectations for him. If someone is expecting Flott to be a every down starter, let alone a shutdown corner, then they're about to be disappointed. He flashes the ability to be disruptive at the catch point thanks to his quickness and length, but he likely never will be a consistent problem for offenses. Now, one of the things you think about, well, if he just puts on some weight, which is true, but that can also, can possibly also be a negative because if it starts slowing him down. But he certainly could use some extra weight, my goodness. He's limited by his frame, and his aggressive game can be used against him by savvy opponents. That said, Flott's versatility to play outside or in the slot are useful, as is his ability to be disruptive when playing off man. He'll need to continue to work on his tackling techniques as well as his discipline in not biting on fakes or misdirections when in zone coverage. Flott can cement himself as a primary depth piece and an option that coaches feel good about in the absence of the starter if he takes the next step in those areas. Doing so could remove cornerback from the Giants' list of needs for several years. Now, as I said, because we got a Debo, we got Phillips, and we got Banks, right, for a couple of years, right? And if we can add Flott in there, you can always use some depth. We also have Trey Hawkins. We have some cornerbacks, right? But we got the starters. Do we have some quality depth? That'd be huge. But while Flott might not need an upgrade if he can't take the next step, he also won't prevent the Giants from adding another cornerback who can force him off the roster, which is true. But the thing is that we certainly, without question, could always use some good depth in the cornerback position, without question. Now, is he like unbelievable? Amazing. Is he going to be an All-Pro? Is he going to be? No, of course not. But if you can get him at the right price, going for inside for an additional couple of years, you have some decent depth. Right? And I said, on the Bowen's system last year, what they said in that article, the last half of last season, he did pretty good. He only gave a 57% completion percentage, balls thrown his way. That's pretty darn good. So I said, if the price is right next year, right, maybe we can get him on the cheap in free agency. That would be really, really good. So not so much as a starter, but some good quality depth. Really, really be good.